Arachnophobia is the fear of spiders, claustrophobia is the fear of tight spaces, and neoliberalism is the fear of the government doing things. Welcome to my new series, How Neoliberalism Broke Britain. And in today's episode we're going to be diving into how the privatisation of energy, or more importantly, the creation of the marginal pricing system, is the main reason that energy in the UK is so expensive, something that literally no one in the media is talking about. Let's get into this. So why is energy in the UK so expensive? Well, for many reasons, but the main reason is something that feels like no one talks about, is the price mechanism that we use is so broken. This is because we use a system called marginal pricing. This means that every energy source, wind, solar, nuclear, are all price matched to the last available source needed to meet national demand, which is the most expensive source and is also typically gas. So in short, no matter where your energy comes from, no matter how much it costs to produce, you are always paying the price of gas, no matter what. In fact, this is how I like to envision it. Hi mate, I'm looking to buy a car, about $5,000, nice and reliable. Do you have anything? Hi mate, yeah, I got the perfect car for you. Ford Fiesta, retails at about £5,000, good little runner. You interested? Perfect mate, yeah, I'll take it. Here's your $5,000. Oh, I am gonna have to stop you right there. I am gonna have to charge you $15,000 today. Why are you charging me $15,000? The car that I want to get only costs $5,000. Well, we do actually have a BMW 3 Series in my garage, which retails at about £15,000. So all of our other cars, no matter how much they cost, are price matched to our most expensive car, which is our BMW 3 Series. So I am going to have to charge you £15,000 today. But mate, that's ridiculous. The car that I want to get is a third of the price of that car. I'm not even buying that car. It's not my fault, mate. It's completely out of my hands. It's just the way the market is structured. Don't blame me, blame her. And whilst this might seem like a silly exaggeration, this is literally just how the energy market works. All the cheapest energy sources are automatically price matched to the most expensive. Gas, the same way that all the cheapest cars would be automatically price matched to the most expensive car. And this issue becomes a lot worse when you realise that gas costs a lot more than renewables. For example, most offshore wind contracts are given out for about £30 to £40 per megawatt hour. Whereas if you want the same amount of energy, but for gas, you're paying about £100 to £120. That's 3 times the amount, and we are paying for all of that difference. And considering that 25% of our total energy supply is through gas, you can see just how broken the system is, as all of these other cheaper energy sources are price matched to gas. But why is the system in place in the first place? Well, because of Neo-Liberalism. So why is this system in place in the first place? Well, like most structural issues in the UK, it was introduced during Margaret Thatcher's Neoliberal revolution in the 1980s. Basically, before Thatcher, the energy industry was publicly owned and centrally planned, meaning the government could decide the prices based on fairness, but more importantly on how much it actually costs to produce, which makes a lot more sense than just being like, oh, we'll match it to gas. But then Thatcher wanted the mates to get a bit of extra cash, so she sold off the energy industry to private companies in order to make competition in a market where competition wasn't natural. And then to support this new privatised industry, they introduced the marginal pricing system. Basically, the idea was, if everything was price matched to the most expensive source, the last available source needed for national demand, it would create an incentive for all the other energy companies to keep their prices down, as the lower they were keeping their costs, the more profit they would make. So effectively, the entire market was structured around making as much profit for the private companies and the shareholders as possible, not for providing a high quality and cheap service to all of us. And because of this market structure, we have become so dependent on the price of gas, despite only 25% of our total energy supply coming from gas. So when gas prices soar globally, we pay the price. For example, during 2021, when Russia invaded Ukraine and gas prices massively rose, we were paying significantly more, and we still are paying for that, despite most of our energy not even coming from gas. It's crazy, and no one talks about this. And the most ironic thing is, the push for renewable energy, which has decreased the price of energy globally, is now being used as a scapegoat by Farage and the rest of the right-wing media, who are blaming net zero and green energy on the reason that energy in the UK is so expensive. That's not the problem. It's not that we're going green that's the problem, it's the fact that the system is rigged against green energy. That's the problem. But is any major political party actually trying to change this? Well, let's start with the government. So the current Labour government is creating Great British Energy, a publicly owned energy company. Sounds great, right? Not really, because it's not actually nationalising the market, it's just creating a public company effectively that will operate in the pre-existing market. This means that the publicly owned energy will still be price matched to gas, so nothing will really change. Now what about the other political parties? Well, in short, the Conservatives unsurprisingly like the current market structure, and they wouldn't really change anything like they didn't for the last 14 years. Reform also unsurprisingly have no real solutions and just scream about net zero and green energy, claiming that they are part of the woke disease. because you know wanting cheaper energy and energy that doesn't destroy our planet must make you woke. The Lib Dems and the SNP, from what I've read, have fairly similar proposals. They both want to transition to greener energy, which is great, but neither have really had any major calls for nationalising the entire market or restructuring the pricing system. So nothing will really change, like with Labour. And the Green Party are by far the best for this, as they are the only party who is currently calling for the full nationalisation of the energy market and the complete scrapping of the marginal pricing system. However, most of the party don't support nuclear energy, which I disagree with, but I guess it's a conversation for another day. And although Jeremy Corbyn and Zal Sultana's new party have no formal proposals on what they'll do for the energy market, they'd almost definitely fully nationalise it based on Corbyn's 2017 and 2019 manifesto, and just their core principles. So in conclusion, unless the entire neoliberal structure of the market is completely scrapped and the market is fully nationalised, nothing will ever really change and we'll always be paying so much for our energy. And considering that the energy companies are currently lobbying the government to keep the current market structure so they can keep making billions of us every single year, and lobbying politicians like Nigel Farage and media companies to promote the idea that net zero is the issue, we will never make any change. Unless, you know, we get saved by an angel. I don't know, like if someone comes to help us, I don't know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe and all of that stuff. I really appreciate it. The next video in this series will be on housing, probably, but to be honest, there's so many ways that neoliberalism broke Britain, so it could be on anything. If you have any recommendations, leave it below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye bye.